My 32 male wife Fiona 30F and I have been married 5 years and started exploring kink and ENM a couple of years ago. We got really into shibari and have done some full suspensions as my skill level has increased. We have some CNC and light sensation play and flogging, but I have never been comfortable with impact play or more extreme pain play. Fiona met Tim 40M at a kink event and they started doing scenes together. At first it was non-sexual, but that changed over time. Tim did things I couldn't and Fiona enjoyed the new experiences and they see each other once a week. In the 7 months they have been playing together it has gotten more extreme and is not only worrying me but it has affected our relationship and our intimacy. For example, 1. We made plans to go to a kink convention in another city, hotel, pre-registered for a pricey shibari class. We get there and are checking things out when we run into Tim and he just happened to bring her collar. She wanted to show him an exhibit and I reminded her we had a 2 p.m. class to go to. No problem, she said. She missed the class and didn't show up till 7 p.m., still wearing her collar which has a lock on it. He took it off the next morning before he left. 2. The two of us were invited to a pool party and I asked if she could refrain from getting marked up before the party. The Thursday before the party she came home with her breasts and legs heavily bruised. No way a swimsuit could hide those marks. We ended up not going after some heated words. 3. In June, the day after she came back from his house we were cuddling and I tried to finger her on the couch and she was spotting blood and extremely tender. She ended up at the doctor and she had 2 small vaginal tears and a larger one deeper inside that almost needed sutures. The doctor said no sex for 4 weeks and if the bleeding didn't stop they would have to suture it. This caused a major fight when I said she needed to not see Tim for at least 4 weeks or until she healed completely. It was closer to 5 before we could have sex again. Final straw was 2 weeks ago. We had a Vegas getaway planned complete with show tickets to one of her favorite artists. Once again I asked she not have a bunch of bruises before the trip and be able to have some intimate time while we were gone. I don't know if they did it on purpose but she had several marks that would be visible on the trip. I told her the day before the trip I had reached the breaking point and something had to change. I told her I was going to Vegas alone since she had ignored my request. She was mad but didn't argue much and I blocked her number during the trip. In June I put my foot down when she wanted to wear her day collar on one of our date nights. I ended up telling her if she wore it around me I would cut it into little pieces. We have had several discussions about boundaries and how unhappy I have been since at least 3 days a week she doesn't want intimacy due to her sessions with Tim. She has argued that it is all consensual and she enjoys the sessions so much. I have asked that she limit their sessions to every other week and that we see a counselor to work through our/my issues but she refuses to consider it. We never had a veto agreement in our relationship but I am thinking using a veto on Tim. Some friends of mine have discouraged me from giving her an ultimatum like that. I guess I could phrase it like I can't be in a relationship where my feelings and needs are ignored like this either way. As much as it would hurt I can't live this way anymore. If it means splitting up then I am at that point. I know if I draw a line in the sand I have to be prepared to follow through. I just had a talk with my lawyer this morning to go over my options and get a roadmap if I decide this is my only option. I love my wife but this is just tearing me apart. I hope she feels the same and we can fix this. FYI, I have another partner I see 2 to 3 times a month so this isn't a one-sided arrangement. Formatting on my iPad blows. I will clean it up when I get home. Update 1. Fiona and I had a long talk tonight. She sat and heard me out for the most part. I tried to make it about how I was feeling and what I felt was missing in our relationship. Fiona actually apologized and said she was still very much in love with me and cared a lot about our marriage and would make an effort to be more mindful of my needs and feelings. But, said she would not allow me to dictate the terms of her relationship with Tim as it is also very important to her. I said I couldn't see the two relationships being compatible, especially from my point of view. Things went downhill from there. I finally said we needed to separate for a while until we could figure out if we wanted to work on saving the marriage or simply call it quits. I suggested she go stay with a friend or relative while we thought this out. Her response was to call my bluff, saying she wasn't going to let me manipulate her into giving in to my demands. She wasn't leaving and said I had no intention of divorcing her. I told her I had already spoken with an attorney and was deadly serious, which she called BS on. She grabbed some things and went into the guest room and shut the door. Crap will hit the fan tomorrow as I am following instructions from my lawyer. I transferred the money from the checking account into a different account and then called the debit and credit cards in as lost and had them issue new cards with new account numbers. They said it would take 6 to 8 business days for our new cards to arrive. I also changed all the passwords on our accounts. Tomorrow I plan to get a storage unit and start moving some of my things out of the apartment. And of course, call the lawyer and give him the green light tea. Have Fiona served. She doesn't carry much cash so I should be getting a call early tomorrow after she leaves. I'll be leaving before she does for work tomorrow so I will miss her reaction if she decides to wear her day collar, which is in 3 pieces now. Update 2. Earlier this week we had a long discussion where she heard my concerns and acted like she wanted to try and make things better, but in almost the same breath said that her relationship with Tim, her dom, was equally important and she wouldn't let me dictate terms of their relationship. I said I felt the two relationships were not compatible and we should separate for a while to figure out if we wanted to work on saving our marriage or simply call it quits. Her response was to call my bluff in her words and she wasn't going to let me manipulate her into giving in to my demands. She said she wasn't leaving and I had no intention of divorcing her. I told her I was deadly serious and had already talked with a lawyer, which she called BS on. She grabbed some things and shut herself up in the guest room. I reported all our cards as lost and had them frozen and requested cards with new numbers. I also changed the passwords on all our accounts and moved our checking balance to a savings account. There was a substantial amount in the account that I wanted to preserve in case she decided to do something rash. I gave the lawyer a green light to have her served. I also rented a storage unit and moved a lot of my valuables and keepsakes just in case. I had already pulled about $2,000 in cash out to get by until the new cards arrived in about 7 business days. I also took a pair of snips to her day collar and cut it into 3 pieces. She called me from Starbucks asking why none of her cards were working the next morning, and I told her what I had done. She said we needed to talk when she got home, and I said we had already had a talk but wasn't listening to me. When she got home she saw her day collar sitting on the dining room table in pieces and started going off on me. I let her vent, and when she asked if I had anything to say I told her I was tired of having it shoved in my face all the time. While I was telling her off she noticed several things missing around the apartment, and I said I had put them in safekeeping for now. I told her she needed to set up a checking account and get her paychecks direct deposit routed there, and once she had it set up then I would transfer money from our joint account. She asked what was she supposed to live on till that happened, and I said you can ask Tim for a loan since he is your new primary now. Then I said if you need some cash I can give you enough to get by until you get things changed over. I said she wasn't going to run up any more debt on the credit cards and she should apply for one if she thought she couldn't live without one. I said my lawyer said you should get served on Friday and you should look into getting someone to represent you. She grabbed her purse and said you're insane, I can't be here right now, and headed towards the door. She stopped halfway and turned around and said she needed gas money. I handed her $100 and she stormed out. She came back in about an hour and said I couldn't do this and we needed to talk. I went through all the red flags again that I had listed in the first post and said I wouldn't live like this anymore. She doesn't want to separate or get a divorce and now wants to get marriage counseling. I said I would do counseling if she stopped seeing Tim until things were settled. She blew up and said I didn't get to make that call, and I agreed and said that was her call, but I wouldn't entertain counseling while she was still seeing Tim. Thursdays are their normal play night, tonight, and she wanted to go talk with him in person first if she was going to pause their relationship. I put my foot down and said she could do that over the phone, and if she went over to his house to go ahead and pack her bags and just stay there. I said if she showed up with a new bruise then we were done, no second chances. We have an appointment with a counselor next week. He is kink friendly and came recommended from several people. I told her counseling doesn't change the divorce decision, and if we are to cohabituate and try to rebuild something I needed to be legally free to walk away if things go bad again. She didn't like this and argued we could maybe work that out in our counseling session. Sorry for the long read. I will see if she is committed to what she says she will do, but it seems like she is only 80% on board and keeps waffling on the details. Maybe when she gets served she will make up her mind. Either way I am staying the course on the divorce, no matter what direction things go. Thanks for everybody's support and advice. She also called Tim and canceled their playdate for tonight and said they were taking a break. We have an appointment with a therapist next week. For now, she is still sleeping in the guest room. Update 3. I will report here the exchange between Redditor and OOP. She hasn't had any contact with her dom in a couple of days. If she does pick him I'm ready to move on. But the last few days she sure has been fighting to hold us together. I've been pretty clear together doesn't include Tim. Redditor, did she receive the divorce papers? What was her reaction? She thought you were bluffing. Wondering how she reacted when she actually had the documents in her hand if it finally hit home? Also curious what Tim's reaction is to all this. Is he genuinely upset that he caused this rift, or is he so self-absorbed that he doesn't give a shit as long as he has a sub to punish? OOP, she got served Monday afternoon at work. It was extremely embarrassing because she was with a bunch of her colleagues and it was obvious after she opened the package. I think she already knew that I was serious, but being served was like getting ice water dumped on your head. Tim has actually reached out to me through my bunny. He gave her a card with his number on it and asked her to have me call him. Both my wife and I both had blocked him on our phones recently. Redditor, are you planning on calling him? OOP, eventually, but not right away. If he reaches out again to see if she delivered the message I will probably. Redditor, I imagine you don't have any clue what his disposition in this, whether his motivation is to be supportive or confrontational. For example, OOP, from the way he reached out I would say definitely not confrontational, plus it would paint him in a bad light in the community. Most of the events around here are invitation only and he wouldn't want to get blacklisted. Other than that, I don't know if he is trying to be supportive and actually cares about preserving my wife's relationship with me or if he just wants access to his sub again. Update 4. And then this, Redditor, you mentioned having an appointment with a kink-friendly counselor this week. Have you gone yet, and if so how'd it go? OOP, they had a hard time staying neutral after hearing all the details. My wife had a lot of hard questions thrown at her. Some of the answers were both surprising and hurtful. We each have 2 letters to write to each other about how we are feeling and another about where we see our relationship going and what we want out of it. My wife was very quiet on the way home and we haven't talked much today about it. And this, Redditor, Wait, so did she ever apologize for those 3 big red flags? Does she understand what she did wrong now? And that first one, how the hell did she justify that to me? That one seems insane, shows up late and with a collar and can't/refuses to take it off for the rest of the day? How the hell did she ever think that was okay? Edit. Also, did you ever have her read essay threads and the replies? OOP. First, she does not do Reddit and has no clue I have shared this with anyone other than a few friends. She did apologize for missing the class we had signed up for, said they lost track of time and was visiting with friends. What has really upset me was leaving the collar on was her idea. This came out in therapy the other night. She liked walking around in her collar and didn't realize it was going to ruin things in my eyes. She kind of blew off the pool party incident as it being my problem. But the tears she admitted fault in for not being responsible and saying something to stop before the damage happened. Overall, she knows I have a right to be angry but doesn't think we need to divorce over it. She says she is willing to compromise and make things right again. Now on to second story. Called out my dog-owning neighbor for not cleaning up after her pet, and she exploded with kindergarten-level excuses in total denial. Man, I am still trying to process an exchange I had this morning. I was sitting on my balcony having breakfast, and there was this woman I've never spoken to walking her dog. We don't know her, but my roommate and I see her down there pretty much every day. She's around our age, I would guess, so either in her 30s like us, or maybe in her 40s. We've never exchanged so much as a hello up to this point. Now, I really like my apartment complex. It's cute and pleasant to walk around, and the only thing that really sucks is when people don't clean up after their dogs. It's so freaking gross, and I hate when people don't do it. You're a grown-up who made a choice to have a pet. That comes with responsibilities that you have to keep up with. Most people around here do clean up after their dogs that I've seen, so we know it's just a few rotten eggs. If I see people who don't look like they're doing it, I call them out, which I know comes with risks, but come on, people. The response is sometimes defensive. Sometimes a bit of twisting the truth like, oh, I was just going to, but they all know that they should be doing it. Anyway, this woman has her dog right by our balcony, and my friend and I were just chatting until I noticed the woman walking away without cleaning it up. So I said, in a tone more polite than the situation probably merited, "Excuse me, are you going to clean up after your dog?" And she says in this snotty voice, "No, I'm good, thanks." I immediately burst out laughing, though not the good-humored kind, because I couldn't believe the audacity. I said, "Wow, that's really pathetic," which apparently is more than she'd expected me to do, because she came marching back. I have to imagine most people don't call this woman out. For her to have that kind of immediate vitriol makes me think she's kind of spoiled just in general and was angry I'd embarrassed her. But she clearly knew I was right because she had to come back and double down. So she comes running at us with this kindergarten logic and goes, "I'm not the only one who doesn't clean up after my dog. Lots of people don't clean up after their dogs." And I was like, so? How does that absolve you of adding to the problem? She keeps going on about how other people do it too, so I said, "Cool, then give me their names. Let's have a list, because I don't see any of them right now." And she's like, "Open your eyes and figure it out for yourself." I was like, "That's what I'm doing right now." She keeps shouting that she doesn't have to do anything she doesn't want to and she doesn't care what I think, so I was like, holy crap, I have never met such an entitled person. It's insane to me that you're getting this angry over someone expecting basic decency out of you. And she says, "No, you're entitled." I burst out laughing again and said, "I clean up after my animals. Me telling you I don't appreciate you leaving messes on our shared property doesn't make me entitled. You're a grown-ass woman who knew what responsibilities she'd have when she got a pet. There are tons of other people who don't want to see your dog's crap. You're not the main character." At this point I feel like this woman has never been confronted beyond her first snarky response, and I have a bubbly and friendly tone normally, so she probably had expected to have scared me or shocked me into silence with that callous initial reaction, because she is practically melting down, trying to upset me while my friend and I laughed. She gave me a snarky "have a nice day," and I wished her the same in an equal tone, then she waddled off. And no, that's not me calling her fat. She was actually really fit, she just walks in a very exaggerated, cartoonish way like Jessica Rabbit or some crap. I thought she was doing it to be snarky, but my friend said she just always walks like that. We took a short video of her, sadly not of the incident itself as we had to go grab our phones, and I plan to take it to the front office just to let them know. It's only step one. I doubt anything will be done with just this, but this has been driving me crazy, and I'm ready to start holding rude people accountable. Fortunately, I can use the corporate offices if the people here don't start to put pressure on people who are blatantly breaking their lease. It's right in there that you have to clean up after your animals. I'm not trying to get anyone evicted, but I'm hoping she at least feels the pressure to act like a grown-up and take care of her pets. Like, I wouldn't cry if she got a fine or something. Seriously though, it's painful to me that people like this even exist. She was so confident that she was somehow in the right that she didn't even try to lie about it. Like, woman, you aren't 12. The other people do it argument isn't gonna hold up in court, Lamau. Yeah, There are bag dispensers in 3 spots around the main square, so they don't even have to go back to get them. It's just lazy, SS and entitlement, sadly. But yeah, while things like that suck for sure, these are always instances where they weren't facing that kind of problem. I'm glad you're a good dog owner. I feel like going out of my way to praise people for basic decency when I see it. Update 1. Someone suggested in the comments that she might be the pathetic sort to come back and intentionally try to provoke us. I thought for sure she wouldn't be that dumb. Turns out, I was the fool for giving her that much credit. But it's a good thing she did, because I got a great video of her. I'm not gonna upload it for a number of reasons, but I might if she tries to do it to me. It played out an entitled Loser 101, to a degree that it almost felt unreal. I can't believe people like this truly exist. She came by, intentionally brought her dog right beneath our balcony this time and waited. I was like, cool, let's record. So we sit there, she waits for her dog to poop, then she starts to walk away, of course. Proof. Thank you. However, as she walked away she saw that I was recording and turned back. She started shrieking, "Oh my God, are you trying to record me? You know that's illegal, right?" I said, "Yes, I am. It's not illegal. You're in a public space." She starts yelling at me to mind my own business and that none of this concerns me. I told her that it did concern me because I live here too, and I don't want a poop-covered apartment complex. Nor do any of the other residents, I would imagine. She told me I didn't own the complex, like that makes it okay. Do you, ma'am? We had a back and forth, and she started recording me back, telling me threatening things like, "Thanks for exposing yourself," implying that she's gonna dox me and put it online. Hopefully nothing comes of it just because I want my privacy, but I haven't done anything wrong, so I'm not worried about it otherwise. When that didn't upset me, as she'd clearly intended, she started trying to insult me, and it was hilarious. "This is probably because of your weight. XD my best friend," and I burst out laughing. She called me a fat b // so I started recording again to catch anything else she might say. She told me she was reporting me, and I told her to please do it so they'd know who she was when I report her. It was freaking bonkers. This woman is a nightmare. I'm actually worried this is going to escalate into something even worse. But I guess we'll see. So the second she left, we took the video down to the front office. I showed it to one of the landlords, who was appalled. I mentioned the day before and how that had gone down, and I verified that she was indeed breaking her lease. Also, the landlord thanked me for policing people who just leave dog poop behind. She said they've been trying to get people to take responsibility, and it's turning into a real issue. After that, she gave me her email and asked me to send her the videos. I did so, and now we'll see how it unfolds. I also told her that the woman threatened to report me, so she may actually call in herself and unintentionally turn herself in. I also mentioned worrying about potential retaliation so that it's just out there. If she calls the cops, I fortunately have the video so she won't be able to make up anything about me harassing her or something. I've been told to not engage with her if she comes back again, but to just contact the office and tell them she's here. I really don't know what to expect. I just wanted to enjoy a nice morning on my balcony. I'm seriously blown away. All this because someone asked you to pick up your dog's poop? What is this world coming to? Update 2. So the very next day, DPG showed up again, but this time she didn't come over near our balcony. I don't know if someone in her life told her she was going to get in trouble or what, but it seemed clear she still wanted us to know she was just fine with what had happened. I emailed the landlords as they'd requested and said he was outside right now, etc. The office thanked me, and then I never heard from them again. The next day, a different woman was walking her dog. I thought that was kind of weird, but I figured maybe she hired someone so she could leave the job to someone beneath her. For around a month or two, I can't remember the full timeline, we didn't see her, and we could only speculate. Maybe she lived with her boyfriend here. One of my roomies said she saw her with a guy, and he told her to stop staying over if she was gonna cause problems. Maybe she got the fine and threw a temper tantrum and left. I figured she also could just be avoiding our side of the property. It was hard to say, but I was just glad to not have to deal with her. Finally, a couple weeks ago, I was heading to the other side of the property, and I saw her with her dog. So she's still here, clearly just avoiding our side of the complex. And that is more than fine with me. No idea what went down throughout that period, and I'm not sure I ever will. I did notice she seemed to have dog poop bags with her this time though, Lamau. I can only speculate that they caught her, fined her, and told her there'd be more fines after that. I don't know what happened, but they took some sort of action with the dog owners in our building, because I now see every dog owner walking around with bags. The dog poop problem has gotten much better. Maybe knowing their neighbors were watching and tired of their nice walking area being covered in excrement motivated them to be more responsible. Here's hoping it stays at this level. I really don't like having confrontations, but I'm also not really one to put up with other people's crap, figuratively or literally. I know that some of you are hoping for a big explosion or some juicy details regarding this woman being put in her place. I'm personally just glad to not have to see her anymore. She never tried to retaliate, thankfully, and I'm guessing people in her life let her know she was digging her own grave. I actually wonder if part of why she avoids us completely is so that we don't see that she's being forced to pick the poop up now. Which is a hilarious thought. If anything else suddenly happens, I promise to update again. But as it is, it looks like this has sort of quietly solved itself. I do kind of wish I knew more details, just out of my own nosiness, but we can at least all be satisfied with the fact that she was absolutely convinced she was in the right, and it blew up in her face. She's probably still awful, of course, but at least someone is holding her accountable. I waited this long to see if anything else happened, but it looks like this might be the end of the story, which I'd honestly prefer. However, if anything comes up again, like I said, I'll let you all know.